Assalamu alaikum, family. Happy Saturday. Peace be unto you, and welcome to the Sajda channel. You're tuned in. I'm your host, Sajda Wendy Muhammad, over here enjoying some wonderful K's butter pecan decaf. It's so good. With a little oat milk. All right, so we are going to be talking today, and I want to tell you that you are the prize. So we're going to get into it. I'm going to come back on the other side of the prayer, and we're going to jump right into it this morning. So quickly, be a friend, tell them to jump over and join us, and we'll see you in a few.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judges, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
That house is where I came to life. You took pictures of me in that house, but it wasn't quite the room that I was in with Mother Marie. Yeah, I know you do. And Mother Marie, I was just a little baby Muslim. She said, brother, that's not the same child that I born into this world. Allah made him with his own hands. I was in that room. Little did I know that Allah was making me with his hands and the messenger's hands to be his chief helper.
Assalamu alaikum, family. Welcome to the Sajda channel. You're tuned in to the Sajda Morning Coffee Talks, and I am your host, Sajda Wendy Muhammad. I'm a global thought leader, a conscious entrepreneur. I have helped to develop almost $500 million worth of businesses and counting and counting. I've got some wonderful clients that I'm working with, really excited to help you build and to develop. And I've helped thousands of entrepreneurs like yourself gain access to mental strategies to help you become happier, healthier, wealthier, and experience more love. And I'm so excited, and I'm even more motivated this year in 2025 to continue to do just that. So happy Savior's Day to those of us here in the chat and viewing the show that are celebrating Savior's Day. We hope that you would celebrate with us. It's the crowning event of Black History Month. It is to celebrate our saviors in the Nation of Islam. And if you come, you're going to learn lots of amazing history. If you come to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House, also known as Sajda House, you're going to see all of this beautiful architecture where this great history was born and made. So I can't wait for you all to see and experience it. So the week of, the 20th, the 21st, the 22nd, we're going to be doing some special things. We're going to be hosting many who are attending our Savior's Day convention. We're going to be hosting the Chicago Black Muslim History Tour that is being coordinated by Imam Tariq El Amin and also Sister Aisha El Amin from Masjid Al Taqwa. And we are so honored to be part of their family. And we have grown so close since we started building and developing this history in the city of our Black Muslim sojourn and how we landed here in Chicago and what history we made. We just become fast friends. We have the same root in the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but more than that, they're just wonderful people, and I'm excited to be working with them as well this Savior's Day week. So we're busy cleaning up. If you're following us on Instagram, excuse me, at Sajda House, SAJDAHHOUSE, you will be you'll be really, I think, impressed when you get there and you see some of the hard work. This hard work's been going on since 2018, and many of you came. What is it now? 4 years ago when it was cold up in there. We had it was a mess. But look, we didn't care because we just wanted to experience the history. It's better than that now. So I'm excited to let you all know that we had a school that we were working with that is also coming have a school that we're working with that is also coming that week as well. I won't tell the school because we even talked about announcing their attendance, but that's going to be coming as well. And it's just a little limited sneak peek. We're still working, focusing, renovating, still doing what we got to do to get things together. The little quick history before I get into what we're going to talk about this morning, a little quick history about the house. And for those of you who've been watching, the thousands of you that are sending me notes and that are paying attention, I know you guys know this, but when we started down, the idea was to get the house renovated and make it worthy to wear the name of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we started out calling it Sajda House. And I was like, the house needs a name. And if you know anything about preservation and historical preservation, the houses have names. And then they also may belong to somebody. So it may be the name of the person. Oftentimes you'll see these houses kind of have like a vanity name or like a pet name. And then there's the official names. Very, very common. I mean, our president does the same thing. He's got Mar-a-Lago, but it's also his house, right? You have so many houses here in Chicago. You got the Roby House and these places like this, but most of them have a name and then there's the official name. So our official name on the National Registry of Historic Places is Elijah Muhammad House. And then our affectionate or vanity name that I came up with actually prior to even receiving my name is Sajda House. And I know you all love it and it's stuck. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan loves it as well because he said it was the right name for the house and the right name for me. And then I also then later learned that one of the beautiful pieces that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan played in the dining room for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was the Adoration, which is the loosely English translation of Sajda, which means adore or adoration. So, among other things, but yeah, so we walking in some divine footsteps here and just working, trying to figure it out, being loving and patient and open to the messages that come through and the downloads. It's really been amazing. And so every step of the way, I guess you could say my sajda or my adoration or my prostration has been really dedicated to receiving the divine inspiration for the house from Allah, what he wants to be done, what he thinks is best, what makes sense. We've had some really big trials, but I realized that we are the prize. And so that's why today I wanted to talk about you are the prize. It came to me and I just took some notes and I thought about, all the years of struggle and fight that our people have been through in the name of freeing ourselves and in the name of protecting and liberating our humanity and our divinity. Again, this is not often part of history, but we've been fighting and pushing and struggling for hundreds of years now. And it's our turn. It's time. We deserve to win. We deserve to triumph. And I think we have to walk in that space and walk in that deserve it energy. We deserve it. Our ancestors whose homes we are preserving, whose lives we are learning from, who are giving us a sneak peek into the patterns, the historical patterns and the systems that they had to navigate through, deserve for us to uplift their names and make their journeys known, their fights known. See, the beautiful thing about history and why the reason the Honorable, well, one of the reasons why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that history is the best at rewarding its student is because when you can see patterns, all right, and those of us in business know this, that we have to learn to be keen to the environment, to the patterns. We talked about that fractal antenna that's in our DNA yesterday, but that fractal antenna that has to be in our mind that tunes us to the landscape around us that helps us to stay down to the modern times. See, a lot of us aren't down to the modern times, not because we're not keeping up with the fads, not because we don't keep up with the Joneses, not because we don't know what's going on, but because we're out of tune. We're out of step. We're so into ourselves, our ego, our world, what we got going on, that we're not paying attention to what the environment and the landscape is calling for. And as business people, we should be very keen to that. And even as believers, we should be very keen to what is going on, not from a trend standpoint, not so that we can go and do what is being done, not so that we can go dress down to the modern times, although you don't want to be looking old fashioned, right? But so that we can properly respond. See, our DNA and our cellular structure is constantly responding to our environment. We talked about this yesterday. Go back and check out the show. Constantly responding. This antenna inside of every atom in our body is just like, doo, 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 doo. What do I do? How do I survive? Right? That's why when they have viruses and things like that, the virus is also tuning in to the environment and tuning into you to make sure that you set the right conditions so that it can survive. So these viruses mimic what's going on in our genetic or DNA infrastructure. Okay. But you're the prize. The fight is for you. There are millions of dollars being spent every single day to control you, to control your mind, to take away your humanity. Millions of dollars. And part of the game that is played is the fight for the control over our humanity. And as this fight is going on around us, we have to be mindful not to allow the techniques of that fight to creep into our way of doing things. Because a lot of times things creep in and you don't even know. Some of us walk around here acting like Scarface and we don't even know why. We don't even live a Scarface life, but because we've seen it so much, that's how we live. Some of us walking around here acting like leaders from some other country, and we don't even know why. It's because somehow it's creeped into our behavior. Either it was taught to us, or we've seen it, or we've watched somebody around us be effective. And in our quest to also be effective, we say, I'm going to do what they do. And so we've modeled certain behaviors that in a lot of cases are bad for us. Master Fard Muhammad said that not only did he come here 9,000 miles, I'm getting my notes, to save us, that he would eat rattlesnakes just to save one of us. You are the prize. Let's put that in the chat. You are the prize. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Brother Lamont. He says, good morning. Assalamu alaikum. Happy Saturday and happy Savior's Day. Happy Savior's Day to you too, dear brother. I see Sister Betty in the house. She says, happy Saturday. I see Mom in the house. She says, happy Saturday. I see Andre 3X Minor says ASA, which is an acronym for Assalamu alaikum, which is Arabic for peace be unto you. I see Sister Monica Daniels Muhammad says, Assalamu alaikum and great Saturday, family. Happy Savior's Day. Wa alaikum salam and happy Savior's Day to you. I see Sister Alita in the building. She says, ASA, blessings, family. So wa alaikum salam too. And so, yes. So thank you, Sister Betty, for putting that in the chat. You are the prize. Okay. I don't know if you guys remember, yesterday we talked about the elements of humanity, which are also the elements of divinity. Let me go over those really quickly before we get into the prize, because what allows us to grow in our divinity and what also becomes the prize that our enemies want to take from us are our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, our breath, our focus, nutrients, and movement. Okay, now let's go. I got my notes here. The ultimate enemy is anyone, okay? Anyone who shields us from our divinity. What is our divinity? We just listed that out. Our humanity. It's a form of evil. Our divinity is our interface or the user ability of our own personal technology. That's from Greg Braden. So when somebody's taking away your ability to think, your ability to feel, your ability to love, your ability to be creative, your ability to critically think, that is being done so that you are controlled, and it makes it easier to get you to do what they want you to do. So there's this carrot that's dangled, and you're constantly looking at the carrot because you want the carrot. And then they just say, okay, well, stop thinking like this and start thinking like that. Stop acting like this and start acting like that. The ultimate enemy is anyone who shields us from our divinity. Listen, we all showed up on the planet for a reason. There is a God within each and every one of us. There's a piece of source. There's a piece of the universe. There's a piece of the divinity inside of each and every one of us. Each and every one of us is a God in the making. And so there's divinity in you. You showed up on the planet for a reason. God decided that he was going to express himself in a certain way. And don't get thrown off by the pronouns he, she, or whatever. Just listen. Let's get over our feelings about some of this stuff. This is the other thing, because they've made us be so in our feelings about pronouns and religion and spirituality. We in our feelings. Well, if they ain't a Muslim, or if they ain't a Christian, or if this person don't do that, get out your feelings about the superficial things that you see on somebody and look at the essence. Go to the essence. Go to the essence. We all want to get into our ego and feel like our culture is the superior culture, right? You got Muslim men looking at this right now like, how is she Muhammad? And she has more than her eyes showing. We got to get over that. We ain't got time for that. We got a whole system that is at war with an attempt to take away our divinity. And unless we unite around a common cause, we're going to be in trouble, because by that division, by taking away our choice, taking away our feelings, telling us who to like, who not to like, who should be cool and who should not be cool. One of the first things that an enemy will do in a war-torn country is they will go in and tell the people where to shop, who to talk to, where to go. If you shop over here, then you're not in good standing with us. If you talk to this person, we got a problem with you. But in a war-torn situation like what we're dealing with right now, and you're in the trenches and you look over and that person don't look like you better figure out a way to find something that you can unite around, because y'all got a common enemy that's coming straight at you. So we gotta grow up a little bit, a lot. It's time to grow up. So I'm gonna read that again. Our ultimate enemy is anyone who shields us from our divinity. It's a form of evil. Our divinity is our interface, or the user ability of our human technology. Okay, so as humans, we have technology inside of our body. We all know that most of the technology, like blockchain, that mimics the DNA in our body, and all this technology out here is mimicking the technology that exists inside of you and I, that we own. Okay, and so our humanity is how we interface with that technology. Okay, how do you make the computer work? Where you got to program it a certain way. You got to hit certain buttons. You got to do certain things. Well, in order to get your body to work properly, you have to learn how to go into your humanity. So if you are sitting at home and you're like, well, I'm devoid of feelings. I don't love nobody. I don't care about nobody. I don't like nobody. I don't work hard. I don't do nothing. I'm just mad. Well, guess what? You are pinching yourself off from the divine technology that exists inside of you. And anybody that puts you in that kind of vanilla type of environment is pinching you off. See, it's your creativity, it's your love, it's what you go through that allows you to go inside of yourself and interface with the technology that God gave you, that's going to make you happier, healthier, wealthier, and allow you to experience more love. It's your divinity. What we're seeing going on in the world, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad already told us what happened. I don't even call it a prediction, because a prediction means that you're kind of just thinking something is going to happen based on certain conditions. He told us because he saw it. And as a God being able to see down into the annals of history, he knew what was about to happen. And so he told us the fall of America was imminent. And as we see America taking a downward spiral, the finances, the economy, the manufacturing, what we see the powers that be doing is they are trying to prevent that fall and or cushion that fall. And as they're falling, they're throwing out anything that they believe has a lot of weight on it, things that are going to prevent them from interfacing with what they believe is the technology that's going to prevent that fall. They want to prevent the shift into humanness. See, because think about us as Black people. We've been creating and building and developing our entire lives, our entire sojourn here. And the idea has always been to pinch off pieces of our humanity. So take away our creativity so that we don't invent. Don't even tell us about the things that we've invented or that we've inspired that have enhanced society. Don't tell us about that, because then you won't be inspired. Scare you, burn down the towns, make you scared, tell you you can't have a job if you get too conscious. You can't work here if you wear braids in your hair. Tell us these things so that now we're afraid to be creative. We're afraid to do too much because we don't want to get in trouble. But what that does, it pinches you off from your humanity. This is one of the reasons why a lot of times artists tend to be more famous, if you will, than business people. One is because in this culture, they've just told us that culture is the God. Culture is the only thing that we can do that will allow them to take it from us and make money. But we also don't promote business people like myself. We would rather say somebody who's part of a culture that they've created are the people that we want to uphold. And no offense against my sisters, the Rihannas, the Beyoncés, love my sisters, but that becomes more uplifted, if you will, than say a business person like myself. We're talking women here, who's out here going, look, I'm consistent. I'm helping people be happier, healthier, wealthier, experiencing more love. I'm giving free game. I'm downloading information from the universe and giving it away like you wouldn't believe. Selling some stuff, offering opportunities. It's just a different emphasis, right? But the other piece of that, though, is that level of creativity tends to be rewarded, because in the music and the arts, it is a form of interface with this divinity and this human technology. And so it's okay. I just don't think it should be artificially elevated over those that are also pushing humanity forward in a different kind of way. This is why when you go throughout history, you barely hear about arts and crafts and music historically, but you really don't hear about the inventors who are equally as creative, the people who have advanced society, the people who have fought and died so that we could have certain rights. There's lawyers and attorneys who have fought cases that we don't know anything about. Let me get off of that. Now, let's talk about our humanity. Let's talk about those thoughts, those feelings, those emotions, that creativity, that humanity, which is our interface with our divinity. It's what can take us into that divine space. It's like a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it. How many of you used to say, I used to be a good painter. I used to paint back in the day. I used to draw back in the day. I used to sing back in the day. And now all of a sudden you can't sing, you can't draw, you can't paint. See, when you don't use your humanity, you lose it. If just like your muscles, if you don't use your muscles, they go into atrophy, right? You don't keep lifting weight, you don't keep creating that resistance, then they won't keep building. And then next thing you know, they're so weak that they don't really work anymore. That's what happens when people are bedridden. And they get up, they kind of have got to learn how to walk again. They got to lift some weights. They got to do something to strengthen their muscles. Okay. So if we don't use our brains, it'll go into atrophy. So if you don't critically think, this is why when people get older, you see them doing puzzles and stuff like that, because they don't want to lose access to certain aspects of their brain. Well, guess what? Even as younger people, if we simply start doing what they've got us doing now, where all we're doing is watching and observing as as part of the audience, we reduce our ability to use certain aspects of our brain. See, because watching is one thing. Analyzing, jumping in there, figuring something out, being hands-on with something activates something else. I noticed this the other day. I was at Sajda House and I was doing some cleaning. Some of you all see I've been posting the videos. Like I just post as myself because there's so much, there's such a spiritual interface that happens when you're touching and just moving around that home. And I started to notice that as I'm cleaning, as I'm working, that messages would come to me, that I'm opening up certain spiritual gifts because I'm physically engaged in doing something. It's like somebody who sews, or somebody if you're cleaning or restoring something. In that process, there's a access to source, to God, to the universe, to Allah that you open up. And when you open those channels, different things come through those channels. So it's just such a spiritual process, just cleaning the windows, wiping down the wood. And we know from our studies that wood holds energy for hundreds of years. And so wiping the wood and thinking about all the conversations, for example, that were in that dining room as I'm wiping down the fireplace. How many people sat in front of this fireplace? How many people walked on these floors? What is there to learn? What is there that my fractal antennae inside of every atom in my body can access by being a part of the energy that has been in this room and in this wood for 122 years? That's why place-based education is so important. It's important for you to not just vacation. Vacationing is important, but to travel. And when you travel, you go to that space and you absorb the energy of that space, and your cellular structure is responding to the energy of the space that you're in. So if you are deliberately putting yourself in these historic spaces, touching, learning, thinking, praying, what are you doing? You are awakening those divine channels that are inside of you that have been asleep because all you've been doing is just watching TV, looking, watching, observing. I see you, Frankie Watson. Assalamu alaikum. I see you, Sister Chandra. She said, I love this. Sister Chandra is one of my sisters from the Coalition of Black House Museums. She's the granddaughter of the late, great Muddy Waters. And I'll tell you, the first time that I was at the Muddy Waters house, I had an experience because my grandmother loved her some Muddy Waters. Okay. And she would play the songs. And when I was standing there, I literally thought about, what would she say if she knew I was standing here? This is why we have to fight for the return of our humanity and our divinity. And a great way to access that is through history. Now, expressing our divinity. So expressing your love, expressing your feelings, expressing your desires, expressing yourself frees us from fear that keeps us small, insignificant, and powerless. It's the fear. See, when we're afraid, then people can easily control us and manipulate us. And how is this done? It may have been something that was done to you years ago, where somebody made you afraid, and now you're in this situation and you're still afraid. And a vulture, a venomous person, will sniff out that fear and prevent you from expressing your divinity, which will keep you small, insignificant, powerless, and allow people to defeat you. Now, how do we overcome life challenges? Well, the same way our ancestors did, the same way our grandparents did, by expressing their humanity. If you remember, most of them were kind and loving people. You hear stories about My mom tells stories about my grandmother would give somebody food over the fence. Somebody gave her stuff. They were loving and cooperative with one another. And the expression of this humanity is what helped them to elevate. So there wasn't necessarily this thing that we do nowadays where we're constantly trying to pitch each other off from earnings and money, and we're jealous and acting competitive. That is pinching us off from our humanity. And when you get pinched off from your humanity by doing these types of mean and evil things, what happens? You stay small. You stay insignificant. You stay afraid. You remain an observer of life as opposed to a participant in life. So any of you all who know me, I am all about creating the flow. I'm giving, I'm loving. If I can put money in your pocket, I'm going to put it in your pocket. If I know that you need something and I can help you get it, because really most of the challenges in life, it ain't about having it. It's about figuring out how to have it. See, once you know how to get it, then you can go get it. If you want love, the challenge isn't that you want love. The challenge is you don't know how to get love. If you want money, the challenge isn't that you want money. The challenge is you don't know how to get money. So if somebody's out here teaching you how to, the way to, that's more valuable than the actual dream itself. Y'all missed that one. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad took formerly enslaved people who still had a slave mindset, okay, and taught them their divinity. He woke us up to our divine power. He said to you all, to us, that we were gods. He told us who we are. When we come into the nation, there's a whole series of student enrollment and actual facts that we learn. And you can learn them too. Pick up A Message to the Black Man, listen to the tapes and lectures. The beautiful thing is that all this stuff now is information that's readily available. If you want to take that deep dive, take the deep dive, but there's so much out here now. If just the autobiography of Malcolm X is waking people up by the thousands. Do you know how many people became Muslims just from reading that autobiography? And some of it is not even so kind to us as Muslims, but people woke up. And then in waking up, they can make their own decisions, have their own levels of discernment. So the study. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I'm going to read that again, took us as formerly enslaved people who still had a slave mindset. Okay. As a slave, your humanity was taken away from you. Your ability to love, your ability to determine who you wanted to love, your ability to think, make decisions, be creative. It was controlled and in many cases stripped from us, even our names taken from us. So as we were sold from plantation to plantation, our last name changed. So I might have been on this plantation, which was the Wilson plantation. If now right here, my name will be Wendy Wilson. But then if he sold me to Mr. Johnson, then when I go to that plantation, now I'm Wendy Johnson, right? And then I may have children who are Johnson children, but if they sell them off and they go to the Franklin plantation, now they're Franklins, but we're all related. But we run around here like, I know one thing, the Johnson family don't play, the Jones family don't play. You don't know who your cousins are because we was all spread out and sold. You have plantations that were breeding plantations where the only, just like they breed horses, we had plantations that were breeding plantations. So you were sent there as a woman to breed with one of the males on the plantation. You got pregnant, went back, had a baby, and then they sold it. This is a real thing. So when your humanity was taken from you, now here we are in the 1930s, 1940s, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taking those people who have been through that level of trauma, and he taught us our divinity. He woke us up to our divine power. When you awaken, or awakening your divinity begins with the way you think of yourself, your story. So if you sign up for a coaching session with me, the first thing I'm going to do is ask you, how do you see yourself? What's your story? Because again, I'm going to read this again. Awakening your divinity begins with the way you think of yourself. How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as dumb? Do you see yourself as ugly? Do you see yourself as fat? Do you see yourself as stupid? Do you see yourself as somebody that can't really do much? Do you see yourself as somebody that is not as smart as the next person? What are you doing with those bad little ways you see in yourself? You're pinching yourself off from your humanity, which pinches you off from your divinity. Okay, so awakening your divinity begins with the way you think of yourself, begins with your story. And y'all know I say all the time on this show that your authenticity is your currency, because ain't nobody got a story like you. You don't have to be ashamed of your story. You come around me, I'm going to push you to tell your story and be who you are. Because I don't ever want to stand before God and he say, did you pinch this person off from their humanity? I don't want to be that. Did you stop a person from getting to know me? No, sir. I pushed them to you. The language we use, the words we choose to describe ourselves with and share our thoughts, feelings, emotions, and beliefs forms the framework for the unity or separation that we experience when we think and solve the problems of our everyday life. We set the framework with our story and how we think of ourselves, what we say about ourselves. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad reprogrammed and redefined our story. So we took pride in something that somebody else said wasn't worth anything. It's starting to happen today. Okay, well, we don't want any D, E, and I. You know how a lot of Black people are translating that? It don't have the word Black in it, but a lot of Black people are translating that into saying they don't like Black people. Now, we don't know if that's true or not, but what we do know is that with the D, E, and I stuff, we was only 4% of that. They've been dissed us since affirmative action. We just now figuring it out because somehow we included ourselves in the D, E, and I. But we weren't getting those contracts. We only 4% of those contracts. 4%. So that's a whole nother story. Anyway, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad reprogrammed and redefined our story. And our story, or who we think we are, is what impacts our health, our life, our abundance, and everything else that makes us human. Sometimes people get thrown off because somebody said to me the other day, they said, this is going to be a bumpy 4 years. I said, no, it ain't going to be no bumpy 4 years for me. It's going to be a glorious 4 years for me, filled with peace, love, happiness, harmony, and abundance. I'm stating that claim right now. So whatever happens, my God is going to help me find a way to be triumphant. And God willing, I can bring as many people along and encourage and enhance the life of other people around me. Now you're ready to look at this person and go, okay, I'm going to make you a God, and go, oh, God, because Kamala didn't win, it's getting ready to be a bumpy 4 years. Probably was going to be the same bumpy 4 years that it was if she had won. How do you see yourself? I see myself as a winner, as a survivor. God has never forsaken me in business and in life. Come on. How do we see ourselves? Let's have better self-talk. Stop looking at television with this gloom and doom. And depending on what station you watch, they got y'all thinking that your lives finna end. Who are you as a people? What have you survived? I'm not saying that we might not scrape our knees a little bit, but what? Because we don't know our history. We don't know what we've been through. We don't know the things that we were facing, that we won. And the reason why we're here today is because we've always been winners and fighters. So for those of us, and you all know these shows, we're pushing towards conscious entrepreneurs. If you're out here interfacing with your humanity and your divinity, you can be a winner. You can be a winner. If you just put it in your mind that you are already a winner, because inside of you, that fractal DNA with those fractal antennas that are inside of your cellular structure, they are responding to the winning DNA that exists and has flowed through your veins, that's in the environment that you're in. You are a survivor. Your businesses can survive. Now, like I said, you should be reading the landscape. You should be paying attention as a business person. What do I need to do? What pivots do I need to make? How can I unify? Who can I pull resources with? Who am I in the trenches with? How can I support that person? See, we have this rugged individual, this enslaved mindset where we think if I dog you, then it's going to make me win. No. We're not in that day and time. So if you dog me and keep me in the field, you get to go to the big house and eat chicken. That ain't happening no more. Get out of that mindset. Start pouring into other people. Start helping other people. Start supporting other people. And you will begin to see that flow of goodness come through your life. You will be wildly and massively successful the more you learn to embrace the flow of abundance. But if you live a life of subtraction, well, they ain't getting none of mine, they can't have none of this, then that's what you're going to live, is a flow of is a life of subtraction. And whatever you got, you better hold on to it, because that's all you're going to have. You're not going to be able to access more. And as we move into this world where we got to think beyond our intellectual capacity, we have to think in the space of revelation where God is talking to us. You're going to have to open up those channels, brothers and sisters, in order to get what God showed up on the planet to give you. Okay. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad Reprogrammed redefined our story, and our story of who we think we are is what impacts our health, our life, our abundance, and everything else that makes us human. When he saw the remains of a Black boy hanging, he saw someone stripped of their humanity. People cheered and stood at the sight of these hangings, lynchings, as if they was sport and play. He prayed as he stood in front of the remains of the brother. He prayed. He said he prayed that he would grow up and be able to protect us and do something about it. And his prayers were answered. The story you believe about yourself impacts every cell of your body. Don't forget that. And when you get to the point where you can see more clearly, you start opening up those channels and removing yourself. See, the key to the divinity is you got to let go of your ego. When I have certain spiritual gifts and spiritual things that open up to me, I remove myself from it. Even if I see a face and I get a vision of a face, I don't own the face and go, oh, that's my grandmother, or that's my, because the minute you do that, it goes away. So I remove myself and I say, how can I be of service? And so in removing myself, I'm allowing myself to be a conduit. It ain't about me in that moment. And that's a little nugget for y'all. Don't say I ain't gave y'all no game. Remove your ego. Don't be afraid that by allowing yourself to be used as a conduit that you're going to lose the sovereignty of yourself. You're not going to lose who you are. You do not have to be defined by your pain. Your hurt does not have to define you. He has given us a direct connection to Allah by activating who we are, by activating our humanity. We talked about those elements of our humanity that are our interface with our divine technology. I will go back and tell you what that is. elements of our humanity that interface with our divine technology, our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, our breath, our focus, our nutrients, movement. These are all ways in which you interface with the divine technology that was placed inside of you when you showed up on the planet. And when you learn to interface with that, you are activating those fractal antennae that are in your cells and in your atoms that are responding to all of this. Your environment, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. It's responding to the story you tell yourself. That's how sensitive those trillions of cells in your body are. It's why a woman can become so strong when she's trying to save her child. If a car was about to hit her child and she had to pick that car up, you see women that weigh less than 100 pounds will stop that car to save their child. They did it with their mind, not with the muscles that you see. All right. I'm gonna wrap it up, y'all. So I'm gonna end it. I'm gonna end it with this. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad words are one thing, okay? But how we ingest the word and the meaning we give the word is going to determine how our nervous system responds to the word. See, when we go to church or we go to mosque or we go to school or we sit in a meeting, if we're not ingesting the word, then our nervous system doesn't get an opportunity to respond to the word. If it's just all here and it's all about, I hear it, I got it, your nervous system never responds. And if your nervous system never responds, you don't get the benefit of the word. You don't get the healing qualities of the word. You don't get the movement and the ignition in the evolution and the spinning of the cells in your body if you're not ingesting the word. But we sit up and we're constant observers. We watch a movie and we ingest what's in that movie. And guess what happens? Our cells begin to vibrate at the rhythm of what's in that movie, what's in that show. Some of us, that's all we do. And so we're just vibrating with this, and this. Let me tell you another little secret. I'm very intentional about my vibration, where I expose myself to certain things that will create a certain vibration. And what I don't do is I don't use my ego or my mind to try to control it. And then I get the messages. This is happening. That's happening. Go here, go there. And then before I even do that, when I wake up in the morning, I say, thank you, Allah, for waking me up. Thank you for showing me who you are. I can't wait to see how you show up today, because you always got me in the right place at the right time with the right people. You give me the answers to things I couldn't even think about or I even knew was a problem, because you know I got time to be figuring all this stuff out. You got to give it to me, and you give it to me, and I'm so grateful. I can't wait to see how you show up and show out today. That's what I say. So anyway, the words are one thing, but how we ingest the word and the meaning we give the word is going to determine how our nervous system responds to the word. You can look at somebody's skin texture and their face and their body to see what they're ingesting. A highly spiritual person can look and read your thoughts just by looking at your skin and your body and the way you move, because it's your nervous system that's controlling how you respond to things. It's your nervous system that determines how your feet hit the ground. It's your nervous system that determines how your head moves, because you ain't going to go too far before the nerves start to feel it. But people who are highly spiritual can see that. They can tell by the way you're walking what you ingest every day. Highly spiritual people can see that. They can tell by the texture of your skin what you eat, what you're thinking. They can tell that. That's why a highly spiritual clinician can tell by your smell or the texture. If they operate on your body, they can tell how you live in your life. We don't know that. We just telegraph everything that we do. It's just that we're so deadened to our divinity that we can't see these things. Okay. If we think, for example, that we're talking about these historical figures, and let's talk about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. If we think he's just a dead old man, then the words will not impact our nervous system and give us much power as they could if we believe that he lives. If you approach history and say these people live, you may not believe that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is physically alive, but if you believe he's alive in you and you look for him, he will come to you. When you are studying these ancestors, believe that they live, their spirit lives. I say it all the time. When I'm studying, I was studying someone the other day, and I said, live. I want to feel you. I want to feel your life. And I literally could feel her, feel the messages. I could feel how she thought. How do we uplift that person? They have to live. See, this is what happens in other cultures. They do it by creating businesses and names. You got somebody like J.P. Morgan Chase, who's been gone for a long time. You know how many businesses his descendants have put in his name? From the Morgan Stanley to Chase Bank to so many, still to this day. To this day. That's, to me, where we need to be thinking. We know physically we may not live forever, but we know that spiritually, our thoughts, our lives, the honor of us can live on and on and on. So when you think that these men, whether it's Minister Farrakhan, you think, oh, he's just an old man. Or you think the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is just a dead old man. Or you think any of these historical figures, they just dead and old. Then you will translate the word into your body as a dead old word. But to get the benefits of history, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, that history is best at rewarding its student. And you bring that word to life. And I tell all of us as followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, no matter where we are, we have a root in him. And we may believe this differently. We may not think of him in the same way, but we can make him alive inside of each and every one of us. And for those of us who believe that he's physically alive, then just put him inside of you and call on it. Stop looking at it like it's a dead old word, a historic word. This is especially for us as young people and those of us that are even in our 20s, because we have a tendency to look at history and think that's some old stuff. We have a tendency to look at older people and go, you can just throw them away. That's a old Willie Lynch type of way, an old slave way of looking at it. Why? Because when the slave master had slaves, after they got so old, they wouldn't really be able to use them that much. So they come almost like putting a horse out to pasture. But we're walking around here still looking at each other like that. And then you don't get the benefit of the wisdom. All right, family. I hope you enjoyed what we talked about today. I see you here. Hey, Disco Kitchen. I see you right on time. Rich Risings, Miss Sajda. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. So go to sajdahouse.com. If you enjoyed any of this content, go to Cash App, Sajda Enterprises. share so we can continue giving this type of data and information for free. Entrepreneurship is about stepping out above the rest. It's a spiritual journey. One thing about business teaches you what you believe in. So when I approach business and I help my clients, I'm helping them to shift a belief system that will then allow them to manifest at a level that is equivalent with their belief systems, because you really can't manifest beyond your belief system. All right. So with that, family, if you want to book me, just go to book.SajdaWendyMuhammad.com. Again, go to Cash App, Sajda Enterprises, support. Let's keep this network going. And if you want to visit us during Savior's Day week, just go to SajdaHouse.com. You'll see the schedule out there for the tours. We're having 2 receptions that I think you guys are going to really enjoy. This is an opportunity to network, to meet one another, and circulate our dollar longer than the 6 hours that it circulates in our community. All right. Peace and blessings, family. Thank you. I love you all. I wish each and every one of you more goodness than you've ever experienced or imagined. Okay. And remember, it's not personal, it's vibrational. Peace and blessings, family.